I'm Korey Lockwood, and this is your NASCAR Season Preview. Starting off with Chip Ganassi Racing. Both Kurt Busch and Kyle Larson are returning for the 2020 season, and Kurt Busch will be going into his 19th full-time season and will be driving the number 1 Monster Energy Chevy. Kurt last year in 36 races had 1 win, 6 top 5s, and 18 top 10s, and an average finish of 13.11. Kurt should be a threat for around 2 wins this season, especially at the short tracks. Moving over to Kyle Larson. Larson is going into his 7th full-time season, and 2019 was a rough season for Larson as the 42 team was extremely inconsistent. Larson won the All-Star race early in the season, taking home $1 million, but that was all she wrote early on for him. Larson won the Fall Dover race and finally made it to the 3rd round of the playoffs, but missed the final 4 races after being eliminated at Phoenix. Larson has a chance to lock himself into the playoffs early as Homestead has been moved to March. If Larson finally gets it done at his best track, he could be a threat all year long as the pressure would be off him. A calm and pressure-free Larson could be extremely dangerous for the rest of the field. Transitioning over to Richard Petty Motorsports and fan favorite Bubba Wallace. 2019 was definitely a year to forget for Bubba, as early on it was rough for him, but there was a couple bright spots from last season. During the All-Star Open, Bubba went all or nothing in the 2nd stage, sending Daniel Suarez through the grass and winning the stage, locking himself into the All-Star race. Later in the season and the regular season finale at the Brickyard, Bubba had arguably the best run of his career, running top 10 all day long and even battling with the top 2 drivers late in the race. Bubba would finish 2nd. If Bubba and Jerry Baxter could find the magic they had in the Truck Series from 2014, they could be a legitimate threat at the super speedways. You never rule anything out at Daytona and Talladega, but I expect some improvement in Bubba's finishes and standing position this year. Going over to Germain Racing and Ty Dillon. Germain has seen a decline since Berry and Ty, but they did show improvement last season by winning a couple of stages. But overall, it was a forgettable season. I expect this team's bright spots to be on the super speedways and maybe Bristol, as that seems to be one of Ty's better tracks. It'll be interesting to see if this is Ty's last season in 13 or not. That decision seems to be in his court more than the team's. Remember, where there's smoke, there's fire. Transitioning over to RCR and drivers Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick. RCR showed major regression last season with lead driver Austin Dillon going from 1 win, 2 top 5s, and 8 top 10s in 2018 to 0 wins, 0 top 5s, and 6 top 10s in 2019. Dillon will likely show improvement in 2020, but RCR will have to rely on him to help the team get back to competitive form, as Austin is the veteran driver now. But the major bright spot is back-to-back Xfinity Series champion Tyler Reddick. Reddick got some seat time in the 31 car last season as RCR eased him in. Reddick is taking over the 8 car from Daniel Hemrick as RCR parted ways with Hemrick after 1 season. This is the make or break year for RCR as they've been on the decline since Kevin Harvick left after the 2013 season. Going over to JTG Daugherty Racing and drivers Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Ryan Preece. JTG shook things up this offseason after losing lead driver Chris Buescher during silly season. Stenhouse takes over the 47 car and is seen as a downgrade from Buescher, but is always a threat at the super speedways. If Stenhouse can stay out of trouble at Daytona and Talladega, he can easily steal one of the 4 races. Keep an eye on Ricky during the regular season finale at Daytona in September. As for teammate Ryan Preece, he moves over to the 37 car, and Preece struggled in his rookie season, only capturing 1 top 5 and 3 top 10s. Preece needs to show major improvement in 2020, or JTG may look elsewhere. Transitioning over to the Big Daddy for Chevy. Hendrick Motorsports showed slight improvement with the Camaro body, but were dragged along by young superstar Chase Elliott. Elliott matched his 2018 win totals by capturing wins at Talladega, Watkins Glen, and the Charlotte Roval. Chase has become a major threat on the road courses, and Watkins Glen is quickly becoming Elliott country. Chase will likely carry the Hendrick banner yet again in 2020 and could be a playoff threat. The Hendrick team that showed major improvement in 2019 was the 24 of William Byron. The 22-year-old was paired with 7-time champion crew chief Chad Canals. Canals gave Byron some fast cars and they captured 5 top 5s, 13 top 10s, and 5 pole awards. The closest they came to victory lane was at Martinsville in the fall, but they were beaten by 2017 champion Martin Truex Jr. Byron should see victory lane in 2020. Going over to the 88 team and Alex Bowman. Bowman and the 88 boys showed major improvement after a mediocre 2018 season. Bowman captured his first win at Chicagoland in the summer and was a threat in some races. Bowman could easily steal 2 wins this year. Last but certainly not least, the 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy announced that 2020 will be his final season, and he is looking to see victory lane one last time. The problem is Jimmy hasn't won a points-paying race since 2017. Jimmy has struggled massively since 2017 and is on crew chief number 3 since 2018. Let's hope Cliff Daniels can help the 7-time champ get back to victory lane in his final season. Moving over to Wood Brothers Racing, and the team has a new driver behind the wheel of the historic 21 car and fan favorite Matt DiBenedetto. The 21 car was driven by Paul Menard the last 2 seasons, and Menard handpicked DiBenedetto as his replacement. The team finished 19th in the point standings in both 2018 and 2019. Expect the 21 to be a player at the super speedways and road courses. Going over to Go Fast Racing and driver Korey LaJoie. The team has aligned themselves with Storehouse Racing for the 2020 season and have brought back LaJoie. LaJoie matched the team's points finish last season but upped their top 10s by 2. With the alliance with SHR, the team should have steady improvement throughout the season and will be a player at the super speedways. Expect LaJoie to have some good runs at the driver-friendly tracks. Transitioning over to Storehouse Racing and drivers Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer, Eric Almirola, and Cole Custer. Starting off with Harvick. Harvick and the 4 teams saw regression in 2019, going from 8 wins in 2018 to 4 wins in 2019. He also had regression in their top 5s and top 10s. Harvick will be a threat week in, week out, but expect his numbers to take a hit as he's near the end of his career. Going over to his teammate Clint Boyer. Boyer had a poor season overall, but still made the playoffs. This could be Boyer's last shot with SHR as the team is getting older and will need to bring in younger talent. Boyer should make the playoffs, but it wouldn't be shocking if he just missed them. Transitioning over to Eric Almirola and the 10 team. Almirola had a down year with SHR's regression last season and failed to see victory lane, but he still made the playoffs. Almirola will always be a threat at the super speedways and some of the driver-friendly tracks. As long as Smithfield stays on with him, he should be safe at SHR. Going over to Rookie of the Year contender Cole Custer and the 41 team. Custer is replacing Daniel Suarez in the 41 as Suarez struggled to perform and failed to make the playoffs last season. Custer should be a threat at the driver-friendly tracks and the highline dominant tracks. Expect Custer to make some noise at Homestead and Chicagoland. Moving over to Roush Fenway Racing and drivers Chris Buescher and Ryan Newman. Roush has been on the downturn since around 2013, but there is some hope with the addition of Chris Buescher in the 17 car. Buescher made some noise last season by having good runs at the short tracks. As for his new teammate Ryan Newman completely turned the 6-car around, having consistent top 15 runs and even made the playoffs. With Buescher and Newman over at Roush, the once dynasty level team could be on the upswing and right the ship going into the next few seasons. Transitioning over to Front Row Motorsports and drivers Michael McDowell and John Hunter Nemechek. Last year was a disappointing year even for front row standards. David Reagan finished 30th in the standings, and Matt Tiff, who only raced 32 races due to health problems, finished 31st. Now for 2020, FRM is back down to 2 cars and have brought back veteran driver Michael McDowell and have brought in rookie driver John Hunter Nemechek. If Front Row gives Nemechek time and decent equipment, he could help build this team up. But as for now, FRM is strictly a contender on the super speedways. Going over to Penske Racing and drivers Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, and Ryan Blaney. Penske looked strong early on in 2019 and looked to have adjusted perfectly to the new Mustang body, but they tailed off late. It looks like a put up or shut up season for Brad and Blaney. Keselowski failed to make it to Homestead and is now in a contract here going into 2020. Brad is widely looked at as the leader of Penske and has been in the 2 car since 2011. But he is no longer with longtime crew chief Paul Wolfe. With Brad having to adjust to a new crew chief, he could start off slow. Brad is a still guaranteed playoff driver and should see victory lane at least twice. As for Brad's young teammate Ryan Blaney, things could get heated if Blaney doesn't see victory lane early on. Blaney has won 2 races in both seasons since transitioning over from Wood Brothers, but both wins came extremely close as he won the first ever Roval race and won Talladega in the fall last season. Blaney is going to have to win a couple races and win them straight up if he wants to stay in the 12. As for 2018 champion Joey Logano, Logano has complete job security for the foreseeable future. Joey will be a threat every week and is a guaranteed playoff driver. Transitioning over to Levine Family Racing and rookie driver Christopher Bell. LFR last season aligned themselves with Joe Gibbs Racing and saw major improvement with driver Matt DiBenedetto. Now going into 2020, they have up-and-coming superstar Christopher Bell behind the wheel, and with that comes full Toyota and JGR support. Bell is seen as Toyota's NASCAR future and they want him to succeed. Expect Bell to compete at Bristol and the rest of the short tracks and even see victory lane at some point this season. Now over to Gaunt Brothers Racing and driver Daniel Suarez. After having a chance with JGR and SHR, Suarez found himself at a crossroads, and now with the help from Toyota and sponsors Coca-Cola and Aris, he's aligned himself with Gaunt Brothers Racing. This is the most sponsorship the team's ever had, and Suarez is the most talented driver they've had. But Suarez has yet to prove himself at the Cup Series level. If he wants to stay with the big boys long term, Suarez has to show he can outperform his equipment. As for now, this is going to be a long year for this team, but with the influx of money, maybe this team can start to improve. Moving over to Joe Gibbs Racing and defending champion Kyle Busch, along with drivers Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., and Eric Jones. JGR had 3 drivers make the Final 4 race at Homestead and won the championship with Kyle Busch. Busch is the favorite once again going into 2020 and should make it to Phoenix for the Final 4. If Kyle stays out of his own way and doesn't make too many enemies, he should win it back to back. As for teammate Denny Hamlin, Denny got distracted late in the season with a run-in with Joey Logano at Martinsville and made a mistake on pit road at Homestead that cost him his shot at his first championship. Denny right now is the best active driver to have not won a championship, and he will be a guaranteed playoff driver, but there's no guarantee that he'll make it to Phoenix. Going over to his teammate Eric Jones, Jones has struggled the past 2 years to break out of the round of 16 and could be on the hot seat as Christopher Bell could be a candidate for the 20 car in 2021. Jones is going to need playoff success if he wants to stay in the JGR mothership. Now for the most interesting member of JGR, 2017 champion Martin Truex Jr. Truex had a great 2019 season, but he is now without crew chief Cole Pearn. Since partnering with Pearn, Truex saw amazing results with 24 wins, 70 top 5s, and 110 top 10s from 2015 to 2019. Now with Pearn gone, it's reasonable to believe that Truex will have a dip in performance. Truex will see victory lane this season and will make the playoffs, but as for a deep playoff run, that's up in the air. Now with that out of the way, here's our 16 playoff drivers in no particular order. We have Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., William Byron, Alex Bowman, Eric Jones, Kurt Busch, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, Matt DiBenedetto, and last but certainly not least, Jimmie Johnson, all making the playoffs. Now with our 16 driver playoff prediction out of the way, here's our final 4 at Phoenix. We have Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick returning to the championship race, along with Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott. Now for who we think will win it, well, you'll just have to wait until the Final 4 preview later this year. Anyways, I'm Korey Lockwood, and this was your season preview for the 2020 NASCAR season.